Thank you for watching Why I Killed You TV. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this particular video and this particular YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about the Madeleine McCann case. Sad situation. Madeleine McCann, True Crime Stories, was saving this murderer a mistake. So in May of 2007, 3-year-old Madeleine McCann disappeared from her family's holiday apartment. They were in Portugal. Her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, they left her and her younger twin siblings sleeping while they dined nearby in a restaurant. The restaurant was 160 feet away. Checking on their children periodically, at 10 p.m., Kate returned to find Madeleine missing. That discovery marked the start of one of the most infamous missing child cases in modern history, one that continues to haunt the world almost 2 decades later. They were eating at this restaurant where they were meeting some friends, and the friends also had children, and they were periodically checking on each other's children. Sad that they would trust that they would be able to monitor their children 160 feet away. The initial investigation was marked by confusion and critical mistakes. In those critical first 48 hours, potential evidence was contaminated as people moved freely in and out of the apartment complex where little Madeleine went missing. Windows and doors were touched by numerous individuals, erasing possible fingerprints. The Portuguese police, under pressure and seemingly out of leads, eventually named Madeleine's parents as suspects before later clearing them. That move drew some heavy criticism and was seen by many as a distraction from finding the true culprit. Attention ultimately shifted to a single man by the name of Christian Brückner. He was a German drifter with a very long and dark criminal history. His record stretched back from when he was just a teenager. He was first arrested at the age of 15 for theft, but by 1993 he was arrested again for SA of a child. To avoid prison, he fled to Portugal, living out of a Volkswagen van before moving into a house just a mile away from Ocean Club, where the McCanns were staying. Brückner survived by burglarizing hotels and holiday apartments and dealing drugs. He was eventually extradited back to Germany to face earlier charges, but once released, he returned back to Portugal in 2005, where he brutally raped a 72-year-old woman and even filmed the attack. On May the 3rd, 2007, cell phone records placed Brückner's phone near the Ocean Club just an hour before Madeleine's disappearance. The very next day, he hastily transferred ownership of his Jaguar to somebody else, and soon after that, he returned to Germany. At that time, investigators didn't connect him to Madeleine's disappearance, missing a vital lead that would only surface years later. Brückner's life showed a chilling pattern, often committing crimes, evading capture, drifting between countries, and often reoffending. He talked about building a dungeon, and he used to date younger women, and those women he mistreated. Evidence from his past deepens the suspicion, and in 2016, police raided an abandoned factory that he owned in Germany. What they found was horrific. Tiny swimsuits for children, children's bicycles, masks, firearms, and thousands of disturbing images and videos buried within a USB stick, and memory cards filled with vile material. There was also his writing short stories about child abductions and abuse, including disturbing fantasies about young blonde girls, none who were over 5 years old. Chat logs revealed him openly discussing taking children with other pedophiles. The graphic content so extreme it shocked even the persons that he was chatting with. But in 2017, witnesses emerged who claimed Brückner drunkenly confessed to abducting Madeleine. Others remembered him boasting about crimes and showing videos of assaults. In 2019, he was finally convicted for the 2005 rape of the elderly woman in Portugal, and he was sent to prison. In 2020, German prosecutors publicly named him as the prime suspect in Madeleine's case, declaring they believed that she was dead and that Brückner was responsible. Prosecutor Hans Walters even said he was 100% convinced of Brückner's guilt. Later, he would admit that this case was largely circumstantial. They didn't have a body, no DNA, tying him directly to the crime. Despite this, authorities insisted that they had some strong evidence against Brückner, but they weren't ready to reveal it yet. Investigations continued, but setbacks kept coming up. In 2023, a costly search of a farmland in Portugal produced little more than soil samples and a lot of disappointment. In 2024, Brückner was acquitted of 5 separate essay offenses because prosecutors couldn't prove the charges in court. That acquittal was a major blow for those hoping to keep him in prison long enough to build a strong enough case over Madeleine. Some evidence that might have mattered wasn't shown in court. One victim, by the name of Hazel Behan, described her masked attacker as having a scar on his thigh. Police files from 2018 documented scars on Brückner's right thigh, but the information was not presented during his trial. Prosecutors have appealed his acquittal, but his release date is now approaching. Brückner's release was set for January of 2026, but a mysterious payment of around £1,300 by an anonymous individual covered an old fine and moved his release date forward to September the 17th, 2025. When the payer learned of Brückner's criminal past, they asked for a refund, a move that would delay his release and buy investigators more time. German and Portuguese authorities have not stopped searching for answers. Back in June of 2025, they launched a joint search, a big one. They combed the scrublands, abandoned buildings and wells and reservoirs that were linked back to Brückner. Dive teams and ground-penetrating radar as well as sniffer dogs were used. Investigators recovered some small fragments of clothing and animal bones, which were sent for forensic testing. Whether these pieces will connect to Madeleine's case remains unclear. Investigators also seized a 80-gigabyte hard drive with a laptop in the earlier raids. They believe it might contain images and information from Brückner's time in Portugal, and some officials think that it could hold the key to what happened to Madeleine. Darkened chats and deleted email accounts were also found, with messages allegedly describing abduction fantasies and possible references to Madeleine. Witnesses continue to come forward. A man who knew Brückner reported that he once chillingly remarked, "The child didn't scream," when he was discussing Madeleine. Another former prisoner said Brückner bragged about using a bus to abduct children and talked about whether or not dogs could detect bones and hair. A psychiatric expert described Brückner as being to the absolute top tier of dangerousness, more dangerous than nearly any other essay offender that they had ever evaluated. Despite these disturbing details, there's still no body, no DNA, no clear forensic proof linking him to Madeleine's disappearance. Prosecutors admitted that they're in a race against time. They must either charge him with Madeleine's disappearance or risk seeing him walk out of prison and disappearing. Today, little Madeleine McCann would have been 22 years old. Her parents continue to live with the unimaginable grief and the haunting knowledge that their choices to leave their children alone created an opening for somebody like Brückner. They had endured public blame and harsh judgment, but they remain committed to finding the truth. Christian Brückner remains the only named suspect. He has denied involvement and refuses to cooperate with the investigators. Prosecutors claim that they have evidence that they have not shared with the public thus far, but unless they present it soon, time is ticking out. Time is slipping away. If Brückner is released and goes into hiding, the opportunity for justice could vanish with him. After nearly 2 decades of missteps, delays, and frustration, the world still awaits answers. Whether those answers will finally come or whether little Madeleine McCann's disappearance will remain one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries may depend upon what investigators do in the upcoming weeks. What I cannot understand for the life of me, why would they leave 3 small children under 3 years old, all 3 of them, alone in a hotel room in Portugal? That's bewildering to me. Thank you for watching Why I Killed You TV. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this particular video on this particular YouTube channel.
They hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.